Hi, and welcome to another episode of Ecom at One. Today's guest is Derric Haynie, Chief E-commerce Technologist at ecommercetech.io. How are you doing, Derric?
Hey, great to be here. Thanks so much for having me.
Oh, thanks for being on the show. Absolute pleasure to have you on. Now, I think it would be good to kick off with, I think it's always good. It's a bit of an intro, give us a bit of a feel for, I see you on LinkedIn. Literally, I can't log into LinkedIn without seeing what you guys are up to, what you're up to. But I think it'd be good to the listeners, for the listeners, to understand a bit about what you guys do and what you do.
Yeah, e-commerce tech, founded under the idea that the landscape of technology is just so confusing for merchants, and no merchant's day job should be trying to sort this out. So we knew right away that there's a large emerging problem, and I kind of naturally sit on the intersection of e-commerce and technology, having worked very closely in e-commerce and running an agency, also being in-house in e-commerce, and then having worked in e-commerce technology, selling to merchants. I kind of got a really good feel for how sometimes the technology company really just wants to sell a solution. Other times the merchant is like sitting in a demo going, I still don't get what you do. And we're 20 minutes in a demo. So I just started seeing all these problems bubble to the surface. And I said, there's got to be a better way. We're going to create a solution that helps streamline the process of researching, discovering, and purchasing the right technology products so that merchants never have to wonder if they're leaving money on the table when it comes to their tech stack.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think, yeah, absolutely. The amount of people we speak to, they go, well, I bought this and I was under the impression it did X, Y, Z, but actually it doesn't. So then I bought that, but then it doesn't do that. So now we've got three things that we thought the one thing. So now we're paying, $900 a month instead of the $300 we intended. So yeah,
I've seen people with 3 email service providers. I'm like, what are they doing? Like,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I have to say, I'm probably guilty back in the day, absolutely, of going from everything and every man and his dog in effect. Infusionsoft, I know, was something that
I also was an Infusionsoft
huge on, fairly chunky investment at the time, probably about 8-9 years ago, and then Active Campaign and so forth, and obviously there's a lot of other options when it comes to specific Magento stores. So
it sounds like we made the same mistakes, actually. That was one of the other things that drove me towards this. I started an Infusionsoft 6-month contract.
yeah,
Talking to the sales team, they were like, well, usually people have like 10,000, 20,000 on their email list before they sign a contract like this. And I was like, well, I've got 0, but I'm on my way up. So I signed the contract, 3 months in, I've got all the training done and I'm starting to understand the tool. We've got great automations going out to our 10, 20, newsletter subscribers, whatever it is. And I'm realizing, wow, I just threw $1,800 in the trash. I probably should have done a better job.
So. This is the thing, because obviously with the more, if you like, enterprise and higher end stuff, you've got onboarding fees. It's not just a straight, it can be, quite an investment. And obviously getting that right the first time is absolutely key. So obviously as a company then, so if I'm an e-com store listening to this episode, I'm running a Magento store or a Shopify store, they seem to be the two most popular with a lot of our listeners. How specifically can you help them, and what sort of advice would you give to those type of stores?
Yeah, well, the generic advice is really taking the time to think about your tool stack and how the tools are going to change as your business grows and scales out. When what we're like working on building right now is our core technology is the algorithm to do this, but you can kind of do it internally in your own head, which is like, okay, I'm at 100,000 in annual revenue. These are the small tools that like work really well to get me to the next step. At $1 million in revenue, you've unlocked certain potential for new tools to help you grow and scale. You're at 5 million in revenue. All of a sudden, things like headless commerce and a lot more AI personalization become way more valuable to you than ever before. Checkout optimization starts to become really important. Post-purchase retention, all these things really start lifting the business up. You're at 20 million, right? And again, you're unlocking more enterprise solutions as you go up and up. And so the tools that you start with in the early days, the faster you're scaling, the more you need scalable tools early, which means you need to invest a little faster. And then as you go on, just don't forget that you're hitting these milestones of growth, and you need to be investing back into the tools that empower that. Because there's big, 20% conversion rate optimization, 50%, 100%. You can double average order value with some tool. Like there are just a lot of tools that have functionality that improve the store, and they just kind of work holistically. Some need to be tested. Others are just like kind of no-brainer things like personalization, pretty much works at scale. It's which personalization tool should I use, not should I use a personalization tool once you're at certain key elements. So that's like the generic advice. We can get even deeper into like the process of vetting and all that stuff if you want.
So, I mean, let's say, I mean, I know a lot of our listeners are sort of at that maybe 2 or 3 million a year, trying to get to that 5 or 10 million. You know, obviously there's a lot of ground in there, but that 2-3 mil, you know, trying to get to the 5 to 10, so maybe 2-3 mil, but looking to double, triple their conversion, their conversion value in their businesses. So in terms of, you know, some key tech stack decisions and key can't get my words out, key tech stack steps, what are some of the big things? Because I think, like you touched on, a lot of people maybe, you know, that what tools work for that, getting you to 1 million, 2 million, are not going to get you obviously to that 10 million. So it's obviously working into your budgets, certain budget, so you can budget in, you know, that movement from spending, whether it's $5,000 a month on tools or tech, to 10, 20. I mean, we've had a similar scenario very recently. We've had very rapid growth in our agency. And, you know, we've probably spending about another $4,000 a month, you know, ourselves in the last 6 months on tools. Now, if we didn't do that, you know, we're going to be stuck. You know, we're going to be stuck.
Yeah.
We're not going to be getting that, you know, the data that we need to do certain research. We'll be able to do certain levels of automation that we want to do in our agencies. And obviously it's the same for e-com stores. So what would be a couple of key areas to look at, would you say?
So, you know, one of the things that I see with stores that have had this like really awesome product market fit growth, you know, like maybe the founder is just like, you know, like I've seen mothers that created baby mats, and like they're doing amazing things with their product and the growth of the company. They've been featured in like Ellen and stuff like that. But what they don't, so they're not necessarily like the most business savvy, but they are doing very well. So I think some people forget that I'd say right around the $1 million mark is when you have to have great analytics. So you need a business intelligence tool. This is where it all starts, because it's going to show you where the weaknesses are in the business. So this is one of the health check things that we have to be doing, right? So there's a whole, you know, slew of them: Peel Insights, Glue, Segments, Audacity. These are great ones. They plug right in, and they give you like out of the box dashboard stuff where you don't have to know any coding, but you can start to really see insights into your business, right? And once you can see those insights, I think the most important thing to focus on, you've got an established business, proven that people will buy your product and like it. It's got to be on retention. We've got to make it's retention and referral. We need to get the most out of our existing customers, because this is often where most people are neglecting at the 1 million and 2 million, because they were so focused on new customer acquisition that the pendulum always swings like one way or the other. It's like, where do I focus today? Sometimes there's even a stage, you know, in between called activation, where we're trying to get the customers that have purchased our product to enjoy our product, use it more, and by using it more, we assume, you know, loyalty and retention will follow. But once they're using the product and having a great time with it, can we get them to buy it again? Can we get them to buy alternative products, complementary products, reusable products, subscription-based products? And then, of course, can we get them to refer a friend? And tracking those metrics is really important. So loyalty tool, there's 2 key metrics you're looking at: loyalty points accrued, loyalty points used. And sometimes you also want to see number of customers using my loyalty program, also kind of helpful, right? And so you want to actually track those metrics, you know, in the loyalty tool or business intelligence platform. And then you want to think of levers on how you can increase loyalty points used. And by the way, we actually want people to use points, which costs us money, like on the company side, but we believe that will increase retention and loyalty. So studying that, analyzing it, tweaking it, testing things like, should we give 10% off their next purchase or $10 off? You know, like small things. That can we give a free gift instead of a monetary value? Can we do early drops, sneak peeks, and stuff like that to incentivize more retention? So there's a whole bunch of things that can be done and tested there. But once we've got retention moving forward and engaging, then flipping back to the site, because conversion rate optimization and average order value are going to be things there. So just did a podcast with a company called Do Finder. They're talking about how people that search in the search bar, you know, are often hitting a 0 results page. We never want them to hit a 0 results page. But most importantly, if they're searching for something that you don't sell yet, and you're getting thousands of those searches, go get that product, right? So things like that, where you can add complementary products and then put them in little upsell widgets on the product detail page, cart page, and checkout if you're Shopify Plus or Magento. Like these are basic optimizations. I'm also an advisor for two companies that I'll briefly drop on. The strategies are important. You don't have to use these companies, but Phoenix Commerce gives you a little landed delivery date. So it's like order by this time, get it by such and such date and time. They use predictive analytics to predict and understand your whole warehouse logistics to say, okay, the product will arrive in 5 days at their house. By showing that information, solidifying the date of being landed, it increases conversion rate practically universally by about 15%. Boom, that's just more money in the pocket. There are other ways to do it. Then there's another tool that everyone completely forgets. Now, this is maybe around 1 million, a little early, 2 to 5 million. This can be game changer. It depends on kind of what kind of company you are, if you're reselling other products versus have created your own product and have leverage on pricing. So it's all about pricing and price testing. Almost no one is doing this. So this is another emerging category that really needs to be well thought out. And so by understanding that, like, the laws of supply and demand, which are basic economic principles, if we increase price, typically we sell fewer units. But is that elastic or inelastic? Meaning, does it decrease like linearly or exponentially as we increase our price? And typically people have never optimized their prices. They probably haven't thought about how changing the price of the add-on product might, get more add to carts for that, or changing the price of the core offer might in fact change how many add-on products you get. Right. So there's a whole bunch of tinkering that can be done there that can significantly increase revenue and especially profit is what we're looking for.
What about showing different prices for different users? Is that something that you're aware of?
So that's called dynamic split testing, which you shouldn't do in typical price testing. This is one of the limitations of price testing. There are a few tools that kind of will do dynamic price testing. I believe that you can show prices dynamically based on regionality, seasonality, even time of day. So I think that prices can change minute by minute, but they shouldn't change person to person. Now, discount codes, however, could be used in a different way. So if you can see somebody browsed 400 pages of your site and then abandoned versus the person that browsed 5 pages of your site and then abandoned, the 400 page user actually needs less of a discount typically. So we can give them, we just need to nudge them back. They're ready to buy. We might want to talk to them in order to answer their questions, but almost no discount is needed. Person that browsed 5 pages is less interested in the product and maybe a little bit of urgency with a 3-day sensitive discount code is going to convert them.
So I think there's an absolute machine gun intro there. It's like a lot of stuff. And I think a lot of amazing stuff. So I think loyalty points and loyalty schemes, there are a lot of people that are going, I think, from this 2 to 5 or this 2 to 10. I think there's a bit of a sweet spot there where I don't see that, a lot of the times implemented. What would be a good start point to get that up and running and get that working in a loyalty scheme?
The first thing you want to do is, every business is different. So think about how loyalty and retention exist without the program, and then use the program to build structure around that. So if people are coming back and buying the same product over and over again, can the loyalty program give them points for buying it from you instead of from a competitor? Also think about what those alternatives and competitors are and what you're actually incentivizing, which is, purchasing through you versus them. Is it an alternative competitor versus a direct competitor? So like if they could just buy someplace else for cheaper and it's the exact same product, loyalty is it's tougher and actually more important. And so that brand essence needs to be kind of built into it. So you want them to feel the brand. It's not about, you're already losing on pricing essentially. So you have to own something else, right? But if it is you're an alternative because you have a unique process or unique product that really isn't being well copied in the market or something, then building on top of that in order to show the differentiation in your loyalty program is important. But at the end of the day, the first steps, find the tool, you onboard as many customers that are interested, you figure out the 5 to 10 things that they should be rewarded for and how you want to structure it. You could even, some people are launching memberships, or sometimes the membership is included with your first purchase and lasts a year. Some things like that to get them into a form of exclusivity. This is very common. Sephora is like one of the big ones. We at BoxyCharm, I was responsible for implementing this when I was in-house for e-commerce. It is practically universal. Not everybody will join it, but your best customers are going to be there. And those are the people you want to empower to share on social, to follow on social, to buy again and again.
Yeah, I love it. Love it. So I think we've touched on it, but obviously it's very important to understand your customers, I think is the bottom line. So we can then decide on, right, okay, people are doing this or they could be doing that. So, what are some of the, what else would you say about how to understand the customers? What else can you're doing $2 million a year, £2 million a year, or $3 million, £2 million. What else can we do? What else can they do to understand the customers more?
Yeah, customer development should never ever stop, because once you've figured it out for one thing, then it's okay. We're going to be expanding product lines. So we have to start, understanding their needs and how they're changing. Plus, just the nature of people changing over time. I always say that a merchant should be talking to their customers on the phone or in person 3 times a week. So, and this just goes on in perpetuity. You can schedule these calls. You can ask them for calls. You can now, people are right now mostly doing it through live chat and customer service, but you actually want to talk to customers that aren't coming in for customer service inquiries as well. So you need to actually proactively be talking to people on a regular basis. But the alternative to that, the 3 big points for customer development, I already mentioned on-site search and seeing how people are searching, browsing, navigating the site. Live chat, actually having conversations with people in real time before sale, pre-sales live chat most specifically. So having that chat widget on your product detail pages, collection pages, whatever it is, to make sure they're going through the process. These things, lead to changes in your product line, changes in your homepage layout. I have a friend who launched a company called Call Scout. I want to say, I'm definitely messing it up. Callback request is what it's actually called. And then there's another one, but
I've seen that one. Yeah.
It's just a little button that says, hey, request a call from me. And so that ends up being great customer development. You understand people like, oh, I didn't want to buy this because I didn't know it did X. Oh, it does X. Oh, then I'll buy. It's like, oh, I need to show that better on my site, right? It's my fault for not explaining it to you properly. So that's a big one. And then post-purchase surveys, also really important for customer development. And there of course is the pre-purchase survey is very popular right now. That's more about understanding certain demographic or psychographic components of the customer profile, but it's not actual customer development. So if you need, like, in order to give them the right beauty product, you need skin tone, eye color, things like that. Is your hair curly or straight? Like, sometimes you need those things to better sell products, but that's not the same as customer development, which is understanding their intrinsic wants and needs and desires, and then, building your product to fit those.
So I think, if you're listening to this episode, are you talking to your customers? Are you picking up the phone once, twice, 3, 4 times a week? Just back to basics, isn't it? We know that it doesn't matter in what business you're in. If you speak to people that are interested in your service and are maybe not crossing the line, and not making that purchase, just a simple conversation normally resolves or will help answer a question or resolve a potential issue in that customer's mind, which is not an issue really. That your product page is probably just missing something. So just talking to customers, that on-site search feature, and looking at the data behind that. I think obviously there's a lot of tech stacks behind each of these options, and obviously you've got the resources on your site, and we'll talk about that more towards the end. Live chat, I think, is it's one that I remember installing live chat probably about 17 years ago on one of my when I had stores, and it was like, wow.
It was just livechat.com, I think, at the time. That was the big site back then.
I think it was actually that. Yeah. And just like sitting there and ping, oh, hello, chatting away, just like, just a simple, oh, have you got that in blue? Oh yeah, of course we have. Yeah, bang, got an order. Somebody manning and manning certain hours and out of hours, and having that manned, and I think is it's a simple one, but if you've not got a live chat on your store, it's quite a straightforward one. And then those pre and post survey sort of questionnaires, or depending on how you want to do it. What's a good way? What would you say about the surveys a bit more? That's not something I'm that familiar with.
So the first one is, how did you hear about us? Very common one to help with attribution. There's a tool called Inquire Labs. It does only that. That's the only thing it does, is help you better attribute. because there is sometimes a black box of attribution. So if you can get a little bit more granular in what they said was attribution. So sometimes they'll say an influencer and they'll even tell you which one when it came in as direct traffic or Instagram, right? Or something like that. So so it can help in a lot of ways to assign some of those data points. The second one is, why did you purchase from us today? And of course, pre-event or pre-sales, you could also do, why didn't you purchase from us today? And then that should have a long form box answer. And then you ignore all of these short answers like, I like the product. You just ignore that. You wait till you find an answer that's over like 100, 200 characters and somebody's like pouring their soul out. And then you listen to the exact words and phrases they use, and you turn that into your copywriting for the product detail page.
Love it. That's brilliant. So you're getting the reasons why they didn't do X, Y, Z, and then you're taking that and in effect adding it to, like, say, product pages, FAQs, that information pages where we didn't buy because we don't deliver to, in our instance, Scotland. Well, of course we do. We just doesn't say it in the FAQs on delivery or the delivery page. So you add that in, and then the next time somebody's got that query, it's already there in black and white, or whether it's a shipping issue or whatever it may be. Okay, so I think there's a lot of things, a lot of sort of options and resources and different tools in the stack there. But it'd be good for you to run through, I think, a very specific project maybe that you've worked on. So tell us about a project that you've worked on, a specific store. If you can name names, great. If you can't, that's not the end of the world. But exactly, where you went with the implementing different things, in the different areas, and what the results were.
I think one of the, I've had a few successes. Funny enough, what I do today is I just tell merchants what to do, and then I get out, which is, I love this. So I advise on the tools they use, and then I watch them execute, and then I see the results without having to do it. But when I was in-house at a beauty box subscription called BoxyCharm, one of our most successful things, which was the idea that I led, we were going to do a refer a friend program, and I'm with the executive team in the room. I'm kind of like the leading marketer in the room. Well, the CEO is very marketing centric, but all they know is that they want the customers to refer a friend. They're actually so believe it or not, they gave me permission to email our customers, which they didn't do prior. So there were a lot of easy wins, basically is what I was saying. But in this case, like, refer a friend and get a $10 off for your next box or something like that. It's a beauty box subscription. It's $21 a month. I said, no. We want to refer a friend. We want to have a product. We want to give an extra product in the box, because products for us are well cheaper than $10. And if we can fit it into a box of 5 products, we can fit a 6th product in there. Shipping is essentially free. It does change a little bit, but it's essentially free. And so we just have to figure out, okay, what's the size of this box, and can we fit a 6th product in it? And what is that product? And we've got all these products that we didn't sell last month and the month before just sitting there. So we'll figure that out. And then I said, furthermore, no one wants to get, like, referring a friend doesn't get me, like I don't just want to get a product and be selfish about it. The friend needs something as well. So we call it double referral program. So refer a friend, they'll get something in their first box, and you'll get something in your next box. The beauty of this is that you have to stay subscribed after you refer the friend in order to get the special gift. So it naturally increases retention by referring a friend and telling them that they're going to get something for free. All of the friends that were on this outer layer of about to buy, or maybe even they've gone on and off, they go reaching out to their friend who they know still has a subscription, because there's a lot of product sharing in this space. And they go, hey, refer me so that we can both get this free product, which is, so it inflates that referral number in a way, because they might have come in direct, but in such a good way that we don't even care, because it's increasing retention and everyone's talking about it. All those things. So we were getting tens of thousands of referrals every month off of our user base, and it became a huge success, and a very low cost of acquisition.
And existing customers buying more as well.
Well, the thing is, because it's a beauty box subscription, not a lot of additional, that was the only thing they sold. There was a store that was going to launch an upsell product, but essentially $21 a month was the only thing they offered for a long time. Now I think it's changed, but retention, very important that we increase retention, good for investors. Company ended up merging with Ipsy, their direct competitor, and are now valued over $1 billion. So
wow, I love it. I think there's a lot of insights there that I know a lot of our listeners will be thinking, right, okay, there's a lot of things there, specifically, that refer a friend, the double, sort of in effect, a double deal. I like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, that's
You
great.
know what people are doing now with this, I think subscriptions have gotten a little more sophisticated. You can do this in your Shopify backend. You can earn from in the loyalty program. You refer a friend, it gets tracked in the loyalty program, and then you earn the right to add a product to your box. Now, this could be done one of two ways. It could be a mystery product that adds onto your subscription, or they could log into a dashboard and choose from these 3 or 5 options that you've laid out for them. Now, remember, it's not just like good for the customer that they're getting this for free. It's a merchandising play by you. You're choosing the products that you want to sell out of inventory so you can clean out the warehouse, right? And they're choosing the ones that are cost effective for you as well.
I think everybody listening is going to have a box full of stuff, that has been sat there. That's obviously got a value, but you can use it, you utilize it to build the client base.
Yeah. Instead of paying Facebook more money, just take that inventory and turn it into new customers.
Yeah. So let's talk, you have touched on it, but let's talk about influencer marketing. Where do you see that going in the e-commerce space?
Yeah, at BoxyCharm, we were doing 300,000 a month in influencer marketing, and I was working closely with the influencer team and overseeing the advertising side of things. And I mean, honestly, like in advertising, I had to prove my cost of acquisition every day or I would get fired, right? In influencer marketing, it was spaghetti on the wall. Like you could just pay anybody any amount of money. It was like, you want some money? You want some money? You want some money? Just throwing it out there. I swear, it really did feel like that. So where do we start with that? We start with better tracking. We need to really understand the attribution from our influencer campaigns. And the truth is, people get nervous when you want to track something like this because a lot of it is untrackable. But the more you track, the more closer you get to accurate, the better it is. You don't have to be 100% accurate. You could even be only 20% accurate and still be better off than not tracking at all. So don't think about making sure that everybody is tracked. Just try and get more tracking from influencers. So whether that's a custom link for them, a custom discount code, or most importantly, the metrics that the way that everything is going today, most influencer marketing platforms are now plugged into the influencers' accounts, and you can see the metrics of your posts. So this is we're just looking at views and engagements. Maybe it's clicks or comments or something like that. You want to have the actual metrics from the influencer, whether it's after 1 day, 7 days, 30 days, depending on the kind of the arrangement of the situation. You want to actually have a look back report on who got you the most views and all those things. And then of course, we don't just care about raw like impression numbers. I mean, Coca-Cola and a couple big players really do just care about those things. Honda, but most D2C brands care about the actual results from them. So we want to really be careful on the demographics of our audience. At BoxyCharm, we learned very quickly that the very attractive supermodels and swimsuit models have a 90% male following. They wear makeup, but they do not sell products, right? And so you have to learn very quickly that $10,000 selling makeup to their audience is a total waste of money. You're better off in like a micro influencer or something like that. And all that. So understanding who their audience is and why that audience would want to buy after seeing it on the influencers page. That's one of the most important things. The second most important thing is the rights to the content so that you can rip it off the influencers page and advertise with it. This is what made us a massive improvement in cost per acquisition when Cardi B did an unboxing video for us. And I put maybe $500,000 behind this one really crummy looking ad where Cardi B was like, oh my God, I got my BoxyCharm. And it just performed. Our cost of acquisition went way down. It lasted for months on end. It became a very much an evergreen sort of video that we got millions and millions of views off of and lots in sales. So finding the gold in the influencer content and then advertising it. And sometimes you can white label advertise, which means advertising on the influencer's account. But driving traffic back to your own site. There's some testing that can be done there, but if you've got a good partnership. Oh, by the way, so the future of influencer marketing is definitely in partnerships, which includes co-branded products. The influencers are launching more product lines, and so long-term relationships with influencers. Okay, that was a lot.
That's great, and I think it's while we're there, I think also like your customers, obviously customers that are find your products. What are your thoughts on that about stores reaching out to their existing customers using data from maybe, I know, for example, reviews.io, for example, they use, there's that functionality there to look at obviously the follow accounts, etc., of your existing customers, and then you go, blubbing out, I didn't realize that such and such bought XYZ offers.
Yeah.
Reach out to them personally. What are your thoughts on customers?
Yeah, another tool that does that is Caro, Carro is another. It's a free Shopify plugin that'll tell you the social followings of your existing customers and email database. And so this is definitely there. So like we think about what influencer marketing is. It's really there's a lot of circle overlap between influencer marketing, partner marketing, affiliate marketing, and what we might call referral marketing, right? And these four circles sometimes merge all together. So typically when it's an existing customer, what you're looking for is to surprise and delight them if they have a medium to large social following, so that they'll naturally want to share and tell others about you. Now you can also reach out and turn that into a true influencer relationship where they're either getting product for free in exchange for promoting you. And there's usually there's either a written contract or at least like an agreement, like a document that it kind of says, you're going to do this, I'm going to do that, memorandum. And so you can turn it all the way to that, or you can keep it as a surprise and delight. It depends on like the stage and the relationship and all of those things. But that's just like, uncovering money in your data is what that is. Yeah. It's like, look at the customers, figure out who these people are. When you're selling $1 million a year, you can't know all of your customers, right? So trying to get to know as many as you can on that customer development side of things, and then empowering them to tell others, it's always going to be a good thing.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think free money is always good.
There's at $1 million to $5 million in revenue is when you start to have a lot of money in your data. Before that, the money is out there in the world and you're trying to bring it in. But once you hit those points, because optimizing off of 1,000 visitors is really tough because it takes a long time. And understanding, after 1,000 purchases, these are the questions that people ask, still not a lot of data. But at 10,000, 50,000 customers, now you have segments, you have personas, you can change your categories around and all these things that kind of unlock.
Same as paid ads. When you look at somebody's going, oh, we're spending $1 million a year on Google ads, but we don't do Facebook. It's like, what? Obviously you've then got that maybe 1 million visitors that you're not remarketing to on Facebook. With dynamic product ads, it's free money. It's as simple as that. That's exactly what we say. It's free money, completely free money. You've got a customer database there that can be remarketed to with very specific products that they looked at or showed an interest in, and obviously all variants and variations. Yeah, great. Okay, well, thanks, Derric. I think I'm gonna have to pause this at the end and have a re-listen because there's so many little nuggets in there to digest. And I would suggest anybody that's listening, should do the same. There's so many little nuggets in there, so many different areas I think that get overlooked, especially when we're sort of trying to go from this 2 to 5 or this 3 or 4 to 10 mil, and just layering in and stacking, instead of 5%, 5%, 10%, 5% before we know it, can make a real big difference. So thank you so much for being on the show, Derric. I always like to finish every episode with a book recommendation. What book would you recommend to our listeners, Derric?
Wow, there's a lot of great books out there. My favorite book, which is not even necessarily for e-commerce, but it can be kind of merged in that way. It's a book by Marcus Sheridan. I've bought over like 20 copies of this for other people. It's called They Ask You Answer. This book explains why talking about your competition, your industry, the problems in your space, your pricing. Just as an example, like if you charge $79 for your product, the question is like, why is this $79? And if you say to people, look, it costs $25 to get the product, it costs $25 to get the customer, and it costs $10 to ship the product, and we make $15 off of this every time we sell one, they'll be like, oh, it makes sense that they're trying to make $15 every product. Yeah. Okay, that's a good breakdown. So most people try and black box a lot of things in their business. They try to be like not as transparent. But I believe that by providing as much transparency as possible, you overcome more objections. You become a sort of thought leader, a market leader, and it becomes a differentiation factor. Of course, my entire business is based on providing transparency in the e-commerce technology landscape. So
Yeah.
I'm a little biased here, but I swear to you, transparency in any business in any competing market can be really good for you. So They Ask You Answer by Marcus Sheridan lays out a lot of the processes for talking about that, especially from a content marketing side, which gets you ranking in Google. I followed these principles when I was a brand new agency in San Diego. I ranked #1 for San Diego Digital Marketing Agency. There was Internet Marketing Inc., 140 employees, outranked them for because we were able to follow the principles in this book, and we've done it over and over again. They just work really well, and it's not just about content SEO. It's about a philosophy and how you want to treat your business in your industry.
That's great. Well, thank you. We'll link that up, and I'll be ordering a copy in about 5 minutes time. That sounds awesome. Right up my street, to be honest. Yeah, we're a massive believer in that sort of strategy, really, in terms of, giving, explaining everything, and when customers are ready, I think that they'll be, they'll appreciate that transparency and, choose somebody like that to work with. Well, thanks so much, Derric, for being on the show. I look forward to probably catching up with you again, I think, in maybe 6-8 months, see how things have changed and see how that sort of tech stack has changed. But yeah, thanks for being on the show. I look forward to speaking again.